Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Simon Murphy. I'm the Business Lincolnshire lead for the Peer Networks programme. Welcome to the April episode of the Business Lincolnshire live show. The whole aim of this monthly live show is for us to engage with businesses across Lincolnshire, share the support programmes and financial support which is available, and highlight the different sectors across the county and to answer questions you have as business owners. We will also have a diverse range of guests joining us on the show to give their insight into modern business growth. So how do you get involved? It's essentially through the live chat function that you will see on your screen. Remember, if you want to engage with us and send messages live, the best way to do that is through the event chat on the LinkedIn event. But you can also do so through commenting on Facebook or the YouTube channel. So feel free to get involved. This week's show, we'll be focusing on the fantastic Peer Network programme, how you can get involved with it and the benefits of going through the weekly sessions. I'll tell you a little bit about the Peer Network programme. I won't steal the thunder of our guests that are coming up, but the programme aims to encourage collaboration between Lincolnshire SMEs and allow them to work together to solve the challenges that they face on a daily basis as business owners. Experienced facilitators help them build a supportive network to strengthen their organisation and to improve performance. Business Lincolnshire have taken a sectoral approach to doing that, and networks are available in a number of different industry sectors, and just a few of those you'll hear a bit more about later are manufacturing, health and care, agriculture, the charity sector, rural businesses and visitor economy. To date, from November 2020, almost 200 Lincolnshire companies have been through the Peer Network programme, which is fantastic, and they've been supported through that journey. We've had exceptional feedback, and outcomes have been demonstrated across the board. And we're excited to say for 2021 and 22, we will be providing another 20 cohorts of 11 participants. That's 210 SMEs, which will be going through the programme. We are going to be joined today by some great guests, as I said. Mike Epton and Russell Copley are two of the facilitators from the Peer Network programme, who will discuss a little bit about how they've delivered the programme and what to expect. We will also be talking to Derek and Richard, who are two business owners who have been through the programme, who will share their honest opinions on the benefits of it. We've had a number of questions sent in also about the Peer Network programme that we'll answer throughout the show. So let's get started. I'd like to introduce Mike Epton, who will talk a little bit about how the programme works, how he's delivered it and how to get involved.
Well, thank you, Simon, and good afternoon, everybody. When we first got involved in the first round of Peer Networks back in November last year, we were very excited about it because we've been delivering high-level management training for nearly 20 years. And one of the things we always noticed, and it really stood out for me, was that business owners and senior managers got just as much from talking to each other out of a program as anything the trainers sometimes had to say. So just from our first-hand experience, we thought that getting groups of business owners together to discuss their issues within a group format was a really good idea. And having run 5 of these groups in the last 3 months, I have to say, we've not been disappointed. It's been absolutely tremendous. So unlike networking, as you perhaps would understand it, a peer network is not an opportunity to sell to other people or indeed be sold to. A peer network is a group of, in this case, 11 business owners who come together on a regular basis to meet with the help of a facilitator and discuss various issues that are relevant to them as a business owner in their particular business, as well as each other. So this could be, any range of issues. It's up to the businesses that are in the cohort to decide which issues they choose. So it could be some of the biggies, maybe COVID, the restrictions and recovering from that. It could be dealing with the EU exit and the issues surrounding that. We're told we're going to have to deal with consequences of both further down the line. How are we all dealing with that? But it doesn't have to be the big things. Climate change as well, we could add to that list, but also the more immediate problems like finance, HR, sales and marketing, innovation, productivity. The list just goes on and on, really. But the important thing is that they're there to discuss your issues, each other's issues, and achieve actionable results as a consequence of having received that support. So what is it? Well, basically, it's you meet together for 18 hours in total. Now, this could be 9 lots of 2 hours. It could be 6 lots of 3 hours. It could be spread over 9 months, 10 months. It's really down to the group. They decide how frequently they meet and for how long. You have to remember this is a meeting that's for the group. The facilitator is there to facilitate, not to tell everybody what to talk about or when to meet or how long for. So it's 18 hours of meetings over a period of time. And in addition, each participant will receive 3.5 hours of one-to-one support. This can be either in advice, coaching, or in some cases, some additional training. It's really there to help you as the individual participant put into action the points that you've learned or taken on board from the different meetings. So how does it work? Well, primarily, peer groups are a powerful learning experience, but this isn't training. Neither is your facilitator or a referee. We work within a context that's called action learning, which isn't training. It's just a structure and a form which allows us to structure the discussion of the issues that you bring to the table or the meetings that achieves an actionable outcome at the end of it. So essentially what we would be doing, we'll be asking each of the participants if they have issues they'd like to discuss or opportunities they would like to discuss or problems they would like to air and get support. And you as the other participants would then ask more detailed questions of the person presenting the issue. And through the process of asking questions and answering these and seeking each other's experience and advice, we hope that the person who brought that issue will achieve an actionable outcome, something they can go away and actually do something about. And that's where the action bit comes from, the action learning. And the action learning, of course, is based on the fact that we all learn better by doing actions rather than just reading something from a book. There is a bit of kickback on this, of course, that, if you've received all the help from your peers, then the next time you meet, you're going to need to tell them what you've done. What we don't really want is people coming along and saying, well, I've not done anything. So that's really what that's all about. And that's where the one-to-one support comes in. That will actually help you action your point, embed the things that you've taken away from that. So who's it for? Well, primarily, you need to be an employer with 5 employees. That can include the owner manager. You need to be turning over £100,000 a year and need to have been in existence for at least a year. We will match you as best we can with other businesses of a sim where you're going to get a good balanced discussion, but they could be all different sizes and they could be from all different sectors. Again, we will try and match the groups so that they can work well together. What we wouldn't do is put you with a competitor, for instance. And really, at the end of the day, after initial introduction and getting to know each other, it's up to the group to decide how they work and how they proceed. So what makes a really good peer network? Well, first of all, it helps to feel among friends. And I have to say that the groups that we've done so far, that has very much been the case, as people have really felt a part of a group and engaged with their fellow business people and really taken to helping them out and taking on board the advice and support that they've given. Secondly, it helps if everybody respects the fact that all discussions are confidential. As I've already said, we wouldn't put you in a group with a competitor unless, of course, you are already on friendly terms with them. You might be quite happy. A good group, everybody understands that the group is run by the businesses for the benefit of the businesses in the group. This is part of the government support for companies coming out of the COVID and the Brexit era. And part of that is helping each other and getting that mutual support and guidance along the way. So important to understand as well that the participants set the agenda. Again, it's not the facilitator, it's not there to instruct or tell you how to do things, just to help you get the most out of the experience and help you embed the learning. And it also helps, of course, if everybody comes to the meetings understanding that a high degree of mutual respect and trust is needed. So just to wrap up, so far we found that it's been a highly rewarding and enjoyable experience for the businesses that took part in what I have to say has been extraordinarily challenging circumstances with trying to deal with lockdown and EU exit issues along the way. But the support we've seen has been excellent, and we very much hope that you'll be able to join us to continue this tremendous program. So that's all I have to say. Thank you. Back to you, Simon.
Thank you very much, Mike. I do have a couple of questions which have been sent in to us, which hopefully you can help answer. The first is from someone who's a little concerned about sharing sensitive information and data as part of being involved in the program, and how wants to know how that would be managed.
Well, I'd ask you not to give any sort of commercial secrets away, but generally speaking, there is an understanding, there is a charter which we would ask everybody to sign up to or acknowledge, and one of the aspects of that is the one of confidentiality. What happens in the group stays in the group, in effect. And really, for a lot of people, it has been said in the previous groups that I don't want to wash my dirty linen in public. If that's the sort of confidentiality we're talking about. But of course, people have ended up talking very extensively about commercially sensitive information. And in every single case, the group has been respectful of that. But if you're concerned about sharing sensitive information, the answer is don't do it, because it's supposed to be enjoyable, not a nerve-wracking experience.
Thank you. I'm sure that's answered the question quite comprehensively. The second that I've been asked, which you can help to answer, is what would happen if I miss a session? Would I miss out on anything? Would I be behind?
No. We do ask people to sign up for and commit to the whole program, but we do understand that as business owners, this isn't always possible. Sickness, holidays, work pressures all take part, but each session is a distinctive discussion which will tackle usually 2 to 3 issues throughout a single meeting. So you can always catch up by talking to the other delegates. We will record sessions if you would like us to, so you can catch up. But of course, it's not always something that people have time to do, is watch a 2 to 3 hour recording. But no, there's no penalty for missing a session. But obviously, the session's there for your benefit.
Okay, thank you very much, Mike. It's really helpful to give us that general overview of the programme and what participants can expect to get from it. If I may now, I'd like to bring in some of our other guests. Firstly, Russell Copley, who is one of our facilitators, who's been delivering the programme for us in the past year. Also, Derek Denton and Richard Moore, who are business owners who have been participants in the programme over the past year and have benefited from the support that it offers. And I wanted, first of all, to give Russell an opportunity just to give us a little introduction about his role in facilitating and delivering peer networks and how he's found that.
Thanks, Simon. Good afternoon, everybody. So we are a business development project management consultancy. We had the contract in the last year's programme to deliver 3 of the peer network cohorts. Unlike some of the others, ours were deliberately cross-sector, so there was absolutely no danger of you bumping into a competitor within the group. 2 of our cohorts were mixed gender, but we thought it would be quite interesting to see if business owners in Lincolnshire wanted to have a female-only cohort, and that worked really, really well. So in the new programme that's just about to start, we've got 2 cohorts, both again cross-sectoral. One will be mixed gender, one again will be female-only. It's interesting, when you talk to female business owners, half of them say, the last thing I want to do is be in a room full of other women. And the other half say, absolutely, being able to share my experiences, my unique insights with peers who understand some of the gender issues has really helped. So I think by giving business owners that opportunity, it's really good. A bit like Mike, the outcomes of our cohorts has been exceptionally positive. One of our first cohorts finished about a month ago, and already 10 days ago, they've met up as a group in the real world, in a hosted, semi-structured environment. So Mike talked about how the structure builds, and I think the phrase that sticks with me is building business friendships. And so this group has met already once post the formal program, and has got another meeting in about 3 weeks' time. For me, it's about collaborating, it's about support, it's also about challenge, and I think Mike used the phrase holding to account. When you're stood in front of a group of your peers and you say, I'm going to do this before we meet again, you kind of feel compelled to, because you don't want to let your new friends down. So we're really looking forward to the next 2 cohorts that we're going to be running. And if I'm honest, the thing we're looking forward to most is actually having a bit of time to do it without the rush that we had in the last programs. As I'm sure Mike will echo, the last program, which started in November, had to be finished by March, which when you're trying to build up, recruit, educate, and then run sessions was quite taxing, but it's something that worked really, really well. Back to you, Simon.
Thank you very much, Russell. I've got a couple of questions which have come in, which I think maybe you might be able to help with. We've been asked about the one-to-one support. How does that work, and how did it work from your perspective as a facilitator?
Okay, so as part of the commitment from the program to the participants, in addition to the 18 hours of workshop content, every participant is entitled to at least 3.5 hours of one-to-one support. Now, that one-to-one support is facilitated by the facilitator. It doesn't need to be delivered by the facilitator. In our experience, most of it was actually delivered by the facilitator, and it's to pick up on issues that were raised in the peer network workshops that might need a little bit more fleshing out, or might need some hand-holding, or might need some support, advice, and guidance to help businesses deliver. So by way of example, in the cohorts that we ran last year, somebody wanted some specific support around funding applications. And through the discussions in the peer network, we'd identified a source of funding that this particular business owner could tap into. And by using some of that one-to-one support, we were able to support him in developing a funding application and getting a funding application done. And one of the other areas that was really successful in the other cohort that I personally managed or facilitated was around business introductions. So as you develop your business friendships, so you as the participant become friends with 10 other participants, you then might say, well, look, what I'm really looking for is an expert in digital printing, an expert in label printing, an expert in no matter what it was. And we were able, through some of the one-to-one support, to be able to open doors and effect really, really useful business introductions that are handheld and introduced, rather than just, here's a LinkedIn contact.
Thank you, Russell. Really helpful. If I may now, I'd like to bring in our 2 other guests. Perhaps we can start with you, Richard. Just really to tell us a little bit about your experience of being involved in the programme, and how it felt to be involved, and the benefits you think that you've gleaned from being a participant.
Yeah, thank you, Simon. Yeah, I mean, mine was the end of January. I think my cohort started, my peer network cohort. It was a really enjoyable experience, and obviously very timely, because that was bang in the middle of second lockdown for us. So we were, we're all going through challenges. So I think right from session 1, Russell was our facilitator, and we had a really honest conversation about the challenges everybody was facing. So it was good to be able to not just be in your own bubble of trying to talk about work out solutions to what you were going through, but actually have other people's opinions. So that was a massive benefit. It was like a mastermind. I kept saying it's this mastermind where you can talk to other people of varying experiences and just get honest feedback about what you're going through. So that was something that I felt was huge from the peer network, going through that and having people that were actually going to just listen to your problems and give you their honest opinion based in their experience. And we had a diverse group in our cohort, people who've been running businesses for 1 or 2 years and people who've been in for 20, 30 years. So I think that diversity was really good as well. The other things, as Russell touched on, was the sharing of LinkedIn contacts, us all saying to each other, is there anyone who I'm connected to on LinkedIn that you want introducing to? You know, that was a real proactive way of just opening a door for other people in our group. You know, there was no benefit from any of us. It was just sort of saying to everyone else, you know, look through my LinkedIn contacts and anyone you want introducing to, I'll do the introduction. So that was a very proactive way. And that accountability that Mike and Russell touched on, I think at the end of every session, you had sort of things you said, that's what I'm going to do before the next session. And it just made you take action. There was no sort of escaping the fact you had to stand up in the next session and say what you'd done or hadn't done. So that was my experience of it, you know, very positive at every step. And just friendships that we've already since it finished at the end of March, we've already continued, and we've discussed, as Russell said, about us getting together once every 3 months or once a year, and just meeting up as a group and seeing how we're all getting on and helping each other keep moving forward. So
that's great. And the one-to-one support, which Russell touched on just now, did you find that beneficial?
Yeah, it really was, because there were a couple of things that that I hadn't really anyone else to talk to about, and I was going through at the time that I just Russell pulled out of me, and we really dug into the different areas, a lot of the suggestions that came out of that one-to-one support we actually actioned in my business, and we've just accelerated our growth in the last few months. It's busier than it's ever been in the 6 years we've had the business. Now it's not all down to Russell, but I'll give him fair credit that he made us focus on the right areas, and he just stripped away all the noise and said, right, these are the areas to focus on, and we went off and did that. So again, very, very useful. And you felt, that you could just bare your soul. It wasn't something that you felt was going to ever be shared with anyone else. So again, it's just useful in business to have that sort of forum to be able to do that, isn't it? So.
Fantastic. And did you find, some people may be worried a little bit about the time commitment for the program, and they're all busy business owners and a lot to do on any given day to connect with their customers, and the administration that it takes to run a business. Is it too much? Is it manageable?
I don't think so. I think we all agreed in the first session that you have to make time to build your business. There's no escaping that. And this was just part of that commitment. When you're busy in business, as everyone who runs their own business is, you've got lots of pulls on your time, but also just having that discipline of making time to do things. And as I say, take actions on that time. It wasn't just going through a 2-hour session and then nothing happening. You were actually doing other things as well. I think it's that discipline you get into by doing that. And I've continued it now in different areas. I'll use it for training and things like that. So it's, I think the time commitment's always things when you're busy, you think, how on earth am I going to find 2 hours? And you actually think, when you analyze what your day looks like, well, there's plenty of time I can move around and find that time. And it's so beneficial. As I say, once you've gone through 1 or 2 sessions, you think this is, it's just something that you've got to make the time for. So
fantastic. Thank you so much, Richard. That's a great insight into how it feels from a participant's perspective. And if I could bring Derek into the frame now, and really ask you to do the same thing and just give us an overview of how it felt for you to be a participant, and how it benefited you as a business owner.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, I'm Derek Denton, the Director of UK Alternative Energy. We're a renewable energy consultant and installation company. I'm a sole director, and like most small businesses, I started in a spare room in the house. I'm not used to running a business, so over the last 12 years, I've had to develop skills in HR, managing staff, or that side. So throughout this career, I constantly have doubts and constantly being pushed out of my comfort zone as the company grows. So all the doubts and fears that you have as a company director, I don't really know where to go to talk to those people in similar situations. So what the peer networks did for me, it allowed me to be in a group of similar companies that when you actually get talking to, have the same issues that you have. So it doesn't matter what you sell, make, manufacture, the day-to-day issues that we all face are very similar. So that kind of gave me confidence in going forward that actually the doubts that I have, other company owners are having as well. So once I was in that group, topics would be spoke about, we'd discuss, we would agree what topic to talk about in the meeting. We'd all put our part into the pot, and then hopefully people would come away with some insight to how to improve that doubt, that fear that they had. I found it a very positive thing. I felt safe in the group. So when you talk about talking, sort of bearing your soul a little bit, I felt okay in that because I trusted the people that I was around. The kind of people that I was put with, there's about 11 in the group. We had people from hospitality, finance, catering. And like I said earlier, even though they're all different sectors, we still face the same challenges trying to grow a business, be successful, and COVID. You know, we all have these things in common. I took a lot out of the group, and I would recommend it to anybody else who has these challenges in their business. It gave, everybody would give you a different perspective from outside the box. So the problem that I'd say to the group what my main problem was, then we'd discuss it. And it was great to get input from people on the outside looking in. Because as we all know, we get trapped on this hamster wheel a lot of the time and we can't get off it. So being in this group allowed me to get off it and take other people's views on board. I got some really good points and some guidance. So, for example, one thing, I have a lot of issues on servicing. Well, one lady suggested do videos, send them out to the customers. I've started doing that now, and as a result of that, I'm not on the phone for 20 minutes trying to help the customer. It's a click of an email, send the video through, and it solved that problem. So I actually got quite a lot of benefit personally, which I will take into my day-to-day business, and it's helping me make those improvements that at the beginning of the PNX work were big issues. Now they've kind of helped me solve them. So I benefited a lot from that. And I think the other people in the group also benefited from how I benefited from talking about the problems, put it into a group, everybody putting feedback into it. They were all about the same level, same growth. And I think we will continue to keep in contact going forward. I think we were already looking at arranging an afternoon where we can meet up when COVID rules change to keep that relationship going. So for me, I felt safe in the environment. I got a lot out of it. The time, it is difficult, like Richard said, to take 2 hours out of your day when life is so busy is very difficult. I must admit, I couldn't make all of them, but when you pick it up on the next meeting, it's like you've not missed anything. You have a quick group catch up, and then you continue. So for me, it was, I would recommend it to anybody, small business, who have these fears and doubts as a director, as a business owner, you'll benefit greatly from it, and definitely how you go forward.
Thank you, Derek. That's fantastic again. And you touched there on sort of the being able to find the time to do it, which is a question I've already asked Richard, but I also asked him about the one-to-one support. So how do you feel that specifically helped you? How did you utilise that part of the support?
Well, I had Mike in our group, and I found the one-to-one. What that allowed me to do in the group, you will talk quite openly and honestly. But then when it's a one-to-one, you can sort of just delve a little bit deeper into things that maybe we didn't speak about or get a chance to discuss in the group. So that allowed me to sort of personalise it a little bit more, one-to-one, get the advice from Mike, which again was a great help. So with Mike's one-to-one, with the group's input, it worked.
Okay, and just one final question for you. I mean, what would you, I mean, if you were to pick one positive thing that you take away from the program, what would you say that would be that you'll be using in your day-to-day business life now?
I think there's more than one thing, but I would say the biggest thing I'll take away from it is really giving myself more confidence, so that when I doubt myself, because I'm pushing out of my comfort zone, taking the business forward, I know other people are in the same position. It's not just me on my own. So then I think about it in a different way, which then gives me like the strength to go forward in a way. So that's what I would take. That'll be the greatest thing I take from Peer Network, is a bit more self-confidence in the challenges that I face. Oh, and
thank you.
Yeah, the videos.
And the videos.
The videos are great practical benefit.
Thank you very much. Richard, if I could just bring you back in very briefly, can I ask you the same question maybe? So what have you taken as a takeaway from the program? What are you doing differently now?
I think it was, as I say, it was the advice that we came up with in the one-to-ones. We sort of planned a strategy around coming out of COVID. We planned the strengths of the business and to focus on those, some areas that we wouldn't focus time on. So so a lot of those things going forward are what we've really since beginning of April have been focusing on, and March. The other things, I think we've used one of the people who were in our peer network. We've used one of them for building our new website and looking at our brand, things like that. So we've had that actual, meeting people that you thought, I will use you for helps and support in building my business. I've offered our services to a couple of the others as well, even though it wasn't really networking in that way. They sort of approached us to help them with business growth strategies and helping them with helping them with their own digital marketing side of the business. So, and that was all identified in the sessions, people just saying, I could really do with help with marketing, with lead generation, sales and customer acquisition. Some of those things came up in the sessions. So it's just natural that you can, give things, whether you get anything back or not, doesn't matter. You just give as much as you can. So we had a few Zoom calls after the sessions with people and just help them. So I think it's the ongoing things are actually the real things that was the came from the peer network, was the one-to-one with Russell, and really focusing on the areas to grow again, and to really build, and then using some of the people that we met in the network. And I mean, there's such experience in ours. As I say, there was people who've been in business 30, 40 years who just, you want to pick their brains on things, don't you? So I think that was my main takeaway, was just that I've got a network of people now that I can always fall back on. And if I've anything I'm going through myself, like Derek rightly said, there's people there you could talk to about it.
Thank you very much. I've got one more question, which I thought perhaps Mike and Russell might be able to come in on, if that's all right, guys. The question that's been asked is what happens at the end of the programme? And we've touched a little bit on that in terms of sort of creating that network. But Mike, I mean, what are some of your participants? How have they taken things forward once the programme has ended?
Well, one of the aims of the programme is to leave the groups in a position to be self-sustaining, able to continue working with themselves. In the case of the groups I work with, we will be meeting again, and we had intended to meet sometime middle of May, and just to continue the conversations really, and to catch up. As Derek said, the group he was in, one of the ladies ran a hospitality arranging firm, for want of a better description. Another one ran a hospitality venue. So between them, they were desperate to arrange a meeting for everybody to meet live. And I think that probably the groups will continue to work together over a long period of time. I mean, clearly, the benefit is is if there's something in it for you and you enjoy the experience, you'll keep doing it, won't you? And therefore, I think that people will continue to meet and work together. And on the working together side of things, as both of them said, you know, like, get taken away from other people has been tremendous. We have seen quite a few people working together away from the groups, doing business together. But clearly that wasn't the objective of it, but that's naturally happened, as well as providing each other with quite a lot of support and information and introductions. And as Richard was saying, you know, he's been enabling those introductions. People have been doing that and been very happy to do it. You know, even with one group, somebody gave away a complete voice over IP telephone system they were no longer using.
Wow. So,
you know, it's just great to see that sort of cooperation. And in terms of, you know, the mismatch of businesses, well, all of our groups were multi-disciplinary, as it were, and they were of all different sizes. So, you know, and as Derek found, you know, everybody does tend to have very similar ongoing challenges or opportunities or issues. And really the only difference between a small company and a big company is a couple of noughts on the end of all the numbers. The issues tend to be the same, just a little bit more complex. So in terms of moving on at the next stage of this, we feel that most groups will want to carry on working together and will do so with or without our help.
Thank you. Russell, is that your experience as a co-facilitator?
Yeah, very, very much so. As I said earlier in my intro, so one of the groups that I personally facilitated has already met in the real world, a physical meeting, socially distanced, but with bacon sandwiches and coffee, and it was a delight to be back in the kind of real world. So the group that Richard wasn't in tended to be slightly larger businesses, slightly more geographically spread. They've expressed a very strong interest that they want face-to-face meetings. Quite a few of the businesses have got venues of interest, I think is probably the way to describe it, in terms of their premises. So they're very keen to see what they've been learning about each other's business, but see it in context, see it in physical context. So that group is going to meet monthly in a face-to-face environment. I'm not doing the facilitation, but they are facilitating themselves. So at the last meeting where they met face-to-face, they had a topic that they wanted to discuss, and I was invited as a participant rather than a facilitator. Mm-hmm. And then they've agreed, or we've agreed, as it now is, we've agreed the topic and the venue for the next meeting, which will be in the middle of May. Richard's group are going to be blended, I think. They're going to mix between physical meetings in a face-to-face environment and maybe some virtual meetings through Zoom or video conference technology. If I'm totally honest, one of the reasons why Richard Groups really wants to meet face-to-face in the real world is one of the participants in our group was a brewery. And everybody, to a man and woman, is very keen to get and visit the brewery and have the guided tour and the tasting session. And the third group, our female group, they're going to be meeting again, a blend of face-to-face and virtual, and again, self-facilitated. So not a meeting for a meeting's sake, but a meeting to discuss a particular topic or a particular subject, or to share some concerns. And just while I talk about sharing concerns, and I'm sure Richard won't mind me saying it, but within the group that Richard was a member of, after maybe the second or third meeting where they developed that feeling of trust, that confidence in each other, and the confidence in the confidentiality, we split the meetings from then on, so that half the meeting was around a theme that was driven by the cohort, and half the meeting was one of the cohort members presenting to the other members saying, this is my business, these are my issues, these are my concerns, and in some cases, incredibly detailed, commercially confidential information. What should I do next? How can I move this business forward? And as one of the guys described it, it was like having a board of 10 non-executive directors, each with different experiences, that were able to look at a business problem or a business opportunity. It's what we call outside insight. And that was incredibly powerful. But it was also very, very brave. of the business owners who were bearing their soul in front of a group that actually, let's be honest, they'd not met face to face. They'd only met virtually.
That's great. And you touched on what you said about post-program, and the participants are deciding whether they want to meet again virtually or meet again face to face. But is that the case in the delivery of the program itself? Can you choose whether to meet virtually or face to face?
Yep, certainly. As I understand it, for the new program, it's going to be driven. I mean, I think Mike said in his introduction, everything about the program is driven by the participants. So certainly when we develop our 2 cohorts and we've recruited, the first question we're going to be asking them is, how do you want to meet? The second is, how often do you want to meet? And the third will be, for how long? And the guidelines that we're given as facilitators is, over the period of time, we have to have done 18 hours of workshop or facilitated action learning cohorts. But as Mike said, whether they're 3 hours or 2 hours or 1.5 hours or 4 hours is driven by the cohort. Whether we meet face to face or virtually or blended, and my guess is we're probably going to go for blended, again, driven by the cohort. So there's nothing dictated by us. I think the word facilitator is a bit of a clue as to what we do. We're not dictators, we're not managers. We are the enablers, we're the facilitators.
Thank you very much. And if I could just ask Rachel, we're just into the last few minutes of our show, so thank you for sticking with us. And I hope you found it interesting. But Rachel, has there already been any other questions which our audience would like to know the answer to? Okay. Nothing specific has been raised, and I think we've gone through an awful lot in the time we've had there. So I hope that you've all had your questions covered, and you found it interesting, and it's inspired you to get involved in peer networks. And if you've not been involved in it already, to sign up. We'd love you to take advantage of the peer network program, which as we've said is absolutely fully funded. To get involved, we'd like you to go to our Business Lincolnshire website, businesslincolnshire.com, and if you just use the search function on there to put in peer networks, you'll bring up a host of information there, and it will give you contact details of all the facilitators who are running peer networks for us going forwards for the next year, and all of the different sectors which they're covering. As we've said, there are some specific sectors in there which might cover your business, or you might prefer to be involved in a general sector, which Russell and Mike are both running general cohorts, which will be a variety of different businesses and sectors. So all it remains for me to say is thank you very much for attending today's show, and please don't forget to put into your diary that for Tuesday the 25th of May at 12 noon, that's our next live show. And that will be about Lincolnshire's visitor economy and staycations, something I'm sure is on everyone's mind at present as we come out of lockdown. So I'll just leave you with this. Please have a look at our website. There's lots of support on there for businesses throughout Greater Lincolnshire and Rutland. There are grants available on there which you might be able to take advantage of. Look at our grant finder tool. We have specialist advisors across the county, no matter where you are in Lincolnshire, who might be able to help you and support you. So please have a look at the support that they can give, and we can refer you to them for a diagnostic and some support. And do sign up to our newsletter and our social media channels. So thank you very much again for watching.